Hey guys, I'm coming at you from the great outdoors today. So if the audio is like weird, you know what's up. Yeah, so I left my job at the end of June to first go to Canada and then come to Mexico. Yeah, we actually spent a whole month in Canada in July. And that was a wonderful time. I'm going to make a whole video. And we took the train through America from Atlanta all the way up to Toronto. And I will totally share with you guys how we did that, what that experience was like. So subscribe to stay tuned with that. But ultimately, our goal was to come down here to Mexico. And that's what we did. So at the end of September, we came down here to Mexico. And our first city was Cancun. We stayed in downtown Cancun. I don't really think I need to explain why I left America, but so yeah, I'm very glad we did, especially when we did. Our whole goal was to leave before the election, and thankfully we were able to do that. We actually had visited Cancun one other time before, earlier in 2024 in March, and we had like a really peaceful, beautiful honeymoon. And one thing you have to know about Cancun is that it's separated into kind of like two parts, I guess you could say. There's the hotel zone, which is what it's very popular, known for. This is a city that was built in the 70s specifically for tourism. So it's a really, really new city. And so there's a whole hotel zone, and then there's the downtown zone where a lot of the locals are, local businesses and all that thing. We stayed when we came here in September-ish, October-ish, we stayed in the downtown part. The very first time we came here, we stayed in the hotel zone, but we stayed right at the beginning of the hotel zone. That way we were able to experience a little bit of both, see what the vibe was. We didn't know a lot about Mexico. We only knew what American propaganda told us. And I can tell you, whatever your idea of Mexico is probably almost definitely wrong. Because when we came here, genuinely, a lot of people had told me not to go down to the downtown side or whatever. That's so horrible that people would even mention that, because I honestly felt way safer walking around downtown in the streets at night in downtown Cancun as opposed to the hotel zone. I didn't really have a great time in the hotel zone. And because we were in the very beginning of the hotel zone, entrance, it's a little bit different on this side of the strip. We did actually go and visit the actual downtown area, and it was not really a fun time. There was a lot of I'm gonna get into the pro cons here a little bit, but basically too long didn't read. It was just people view you as a wallet there almost, and there's not a whole lot to do, and it's very expensive. And if you caught my last video about my safety travel tips, which you can watch in the description down below, you'll know that our biggest rules is that if nobody's eating there, especially if no locals are there, it's probably just overpriced garbage, or it's gonna get you sick, or both. And they're in the hotel, proper downtown hotel area, which is supposed to be the safe fancy area. I hated it, and there's a lot of that big red flag there, so not a fan. Another quick tip I can give you guys is, if you're coming to Cancun and you are planning on going see downtown and travel around Cancun, I recommend you get the Didi app. That's what they use here. Didi is a Chinese-based app, but it's a lot more common, I think, throughout Latin America. But they also use Uber and Lyft and stuff too. Not Lyft. Lyft is not popular down here, like hardly at all. But they use Uber as well. But in Cancun, Didi was a lot more prominent to us, and I think it had cheaper prices. So definitely use Didi. It's very affordable, and when you do use Didi, do the Didi taxi option, because there's a whole drama with Cancun, the Cancun taxi union, and like Uber and like all that stuff. So just do Didi taxi, and you'll actually get like a taxi delivery or you'll get a taxi driver, but it's like better and cheaper, and just trust me, bro. So currently, from where I'm standing outside, I'm in Merida, Yucatan, which is Quintana Roo's closest neighbor. I'm gonna make a whole video on Merida. We're gonna be here 3 months, so I'd love to share what my experience being in Merida is like. It's a really great city, all in all. But Cancun, though, we stayed in Cancun from roughly the end of September all the way to roughly December, so like 2 months. And getting into my first pro here, I just want people to understand, if you stay in downtown Cancun, like, it is Mexico. It is Mexico. Anyone who has been to Mexico will understand what I mean by it's Mexico. It has the vibe, it has the culture, it has the food. It's just warm, peaceful. It's Mexico. So don't let anybody think like, oh, you're in Cancun, you're not in real Mexico. Yes, you are. It is Mexico, particularly if you're in downtown Cancun. Obviously, the hotel zone was set up to be is literally built to be a tourist area, so not really real Mexico. And I genuinely think you're missing out if you decide to live in Mexico and live in Cancun, and if you decide to live in the hotel zone. You are missing out on what Mexico truly has to offer you. A second huge pro of being in Cancun, of course, is the beaches. Even though we're in downtown, you're a little bit further from the beach. You can take I think it's the R1 and the R2, though my husband and I, we really like to just take DD. It's just easy and private and fast, so like it's a few bucks, so that's why we just prefer that. But you can take the R1 or R2 bus anywhere downtown, and it costs like, I don't know, like I think like 50 cents, even something like 50 US cents, and it will take you from the downtown to the Walmart to all around. So definitely look into that. But yes, it will take you to the beaches as well. And one huge thing, I don't know if a lot of people know this, all of Mexico's beaches are public, okay? Which is really, really great. I love that for them. That means even if a hotel owns their spot in the hotel or whatever, the beach itself is still accessible to everyone. That doesn't mean you can go and sit on their private chairs or their private benches or whatever they might have and own privately, but that does mean you can get a towel even on the nicest hotel you were looking at and get to have access to the beach. So if you can find the coastline and you can find the beach, you can go and chill there, and that's wonderful. Cancun has some of the beaches literally don't look real. Like, I don't even understand. Like, they look so picturesque. It's beautiful, absolutely breathtaking, and I see why people enjoy it so I understand why people enjoy it so much. And we were lucky enough to get to enjoy it for 2 whole months. Another pro of being in Cancun is that it's super comfortable to walk around at night. I'm from Atlanta. I never really felt comfortable. I didn't really feel comfortable being in Atlanta in the daytime, much less the night. Coming here, a lot of people because Cancun and this side of Mexico is really hot, a lot of people tend to do like all their activities and shopping and family time and restaurant eating and all the fun stuff that you do. They tend to do it at night. So you'll see teenagers hanging out and women and men, whatever. Like, you see all sorts of people, couples, very young, cute couples hanging out at nighttime, 10 o'clock, 11 p.m., whatever. Even if it's a weekday, it's really cool vibe. And I feel my husband and I both felt very secure walking around there. I felt very secure just walking around there by myself at night. And again, if you see my last safety travel tips video, I should have mentioned that another rule that we have is that if there's only men in a place, like, I would get out of there. Like, if there's only men walking around, you're not seeing women, you're not seeing babies, you're not seeing children, then it's probably not a safe place. You should try to get out, particularly at the evening time. Like, you don't want them to be hiding your kids, hiding your wife, you know what I mean? So yeah, it was very awesome to see, like, in downtown Cancun, everyone, women, children, teenagers, whatever, are just chilling, doing their own thing. School kids, whatever, doing their own thing at really late hours of the night. Or yeah, I guess they're not too late, but you know. When I first came down here, I didn't really know what to expect living in downtown Cancun, living in Mexico, and living in the city in Mexico, and what is that like? So hopefully this footage and these photos will kind of, like, I tried to use Google Maps and, like, do, like, the little, you know, like, the little dude that, like, lets you walk through the images or whatever. I tried to do that to get an idea, and it really didn't, I don't know, it didn't help me. But hopefully these images and pictures and whatever give you a better sense of kind of what it's like being there. Now, although we really enjoyed our time in Cancun, it's not my favorite Mexican city, and I will tell you why. The biggest con to me being in Cancun is you will always be viewed as a tourist. So even if you don't look like them, like, I'm black, like, I don't really look like, I guess, what you think of as a Mexican. My husband can kind of pass, but I don't really pass, and neither of us like, they would approach both of us and view us as tourists, which is understandable because the city was built for tourism. Everyone who has moved there that is older than the age of about 50, like, they immigrated over there or whatever. They moved over there from another part of Mexico. So because it's a brand new city and it's built for tourism, and I understand. But at the same time, like, we were living in Mexico. Like, we were getting the water, like we lived in Mexico, at, like, living the Mexican lifestyle, living next door to Mexicans. Like, we lived a part of the culture, I guess. Like, we were in downtown. Like, we weren't just on vacation. So it was always, like, really frustrating to me that, like, when somebody would approach you, first of all, a lot of people like to just approach you to try to sell you something because they view you as, like, somebody who has money, even though we're literally just living here. So they'll often try to sell to you, and I don't blame them, whatever. Like, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, like, obviously it's just a little annoying when you just want to be, like, chilling, like, you just want to be vibing, like, in the culture, you know? And they'll try to sell you stuff. They will ask you, like, the amount of times people have just, like, asked me, like, oh, what hotel are you staying at? Like, that's crazy to me. Like, they'll ask me that without any prior information. Like, we're in the middle of Walmart buying groceries, and they'll ask me, what hotel are you staying at? What do you mean? I'm not staying at a hotel. Like, I am in an Airbnb. It's just like some dude's house that he split up into, like, 5 parts. Like, like, no, like, I'm not that person. Or I had another person, like, say, like, are you here on vacation, like, on a honeymoon or whatever? It's it's funny because we were the first time, but not this time. Like, it's just weird. I don't know how else to explain it. Like, I don't know if I want to be constantly viewed as a guest when I'm working on being like a citizen here. And to be clear, like, that's another reason, like, why, like, another con, like, why I not hated, but I don't prefer the hotel zone, and I would tell most people to probably not stay in the hotel zone if you want to have like authentic fun culture, like Mexican culture. But yeah, this falls into that because you are viewed as a tourist. You're viewed as, hey, let me try to sell you this package, or let me try to sell you this, or let me try to sell you more tequila, and all of that stuff. It's just like, I'm not interested in drinking. I'm not interested in partying and all this other stuff. Like, I just want to live here and eat tacos, like, straight up. So yeah, another thing that I found to be kind of a con is that they default you to English no matter how good your Spanish is. And I have been personally learning Spanish for 4 years. Maybe this isn't a con to you, but it very much is a con to me. Like, I want to be spoken to in Spanish. I want to practice my Spanish. Like, I came to Mexico. I did not come to Mexico just to speak the Queen's English. You know what I mean? Like, I understand. Like, I know they're not doing it, like, maliciously. But, like, my own ego is, like, hurt because I just want to speak Spanish in Mexico. Dang it, man. Here in Merida, it's a little bit different. People will just speak to me in Spanish as expected, and I get to practice a little more. So another con is we came here during hurricane season, and it was the wet season, and the rainiest month is in September, which is about when we came here. And it would literally rain, like, torrential tropical storm rain at, like, random, and it would happen like every other day or something. It was crazy. It was crazy how fast it could go from bright, hot, and sunny to pouring, heavy hitting rain. Like, not even the trees can make you feel safe. Like, you are drenched, and then it just disappears. So that was a very interesting experience. And another thing, I wasn't sure if I should put this in pro or con, but in Cancun, they actually have, like, super manzanas, and these super manzanas are, like, in English, like a mega block, like, that's what they're called. They're actually circles, so the city's, like, pretty circular. Like, it's space, instead of it being a block being a square, the block's actually a circle and made up of roundabouts. And it's good because it actually, like, helps, like, Cancun gets millions and millions of visitors every year, so it's good. And they did that to help with the flow of traffic. But since we're walkers, we don't have a car, we use public transport, we'll use Didi. We don't have a car, so for us, an interesting thing that happens between the two super manzanas, or essentially the two roundabouts, is that when you want to cross the street, it's kind of hard to explain. Like, when you want to cross the street, you actually have the space that normally to get from one side to another side of even a large road on, like, a normal street, it's, like, pretty close. But because how circles, like, when you stack a bunch of circles, there's a ton of space in the middle, it actually, you end up with these really, really big, long gaps when you're trying to cross the street. And one thing about being in Mexico, like, you don't get, like, street lights like that. Like, you don't get, like, a lot of crosswalks. Like they exist, but not as often as I think there should be. So you'll often have to, like, literally run across the highway and just look both ways and stand and wait. It's a little weird to me, especially just coming from Toronto, but you kind of get used to it. Like, the people here are really used to it, though. I really think especially somewhere like Cancun where they get a lot of money, like, and they're always investing money into that place. I really think the downtown should get a little more attention with their street signage and pedestrian signage and crosswalks. And the last thing I kind of got for you is obviously the hotel zone restaurants and food is going to be expensive, which is again why I say don't go over there. But to be honest, downtown Cancun also, I think, in my opinion, like where we were going and shopping and eating at, I still think it's pretty expensive for Mexico. Like, I would say the meals are like more like $11 to $15, which is like where I am now. The meals are more like $6 to $10 max. Like this morning, my husband and I both ate. What did we get? Like, I don't remember what it was. I'm not very good at memorizing food words, so you're gonna have to bear with me. But we ate for $8, like $8 today. Me and my husband both, and we had leftovers. Okay, I need that to really settle in for you. That's how cheap it is when you get like really out here in the jungle, baby. So we personally found that Cancun wasn't the cheapest place to be, even if you're in the downtown, even if you're with the locals. But yeah, like if there's anything else you want to know about living in Mexico, traveling in Mexico, we remember we had actually stayed in Canada for a whole month. Like, I'd be happy to share with you what our experience was like in all of these places. Like, I love talking about traveling. I love to travel. Like, I can give you advice, I can give you tips, I'll share. I'm an open book, so please comment down below. Let me share with you. Like, if you got any questions, drop them down below. Subscribe, like, do the thing, hit the bell, whatever. And I hope you catch me next time.